The summons comes wrapped in velvet threats and bureaucratic glitter. Our feeds wake everyone with the same message: appear before the Galactic Council and account for the meme bomb incident. The words scroll past footage of leaders pinching the bridge of their noses and one in turn dry heaving into a recycling bin. Somewhere, an algorithm hiccups and sends a confetti gif of eggplants and rocket ships. Fitting. Captain Jax Monroe straightens the collar of a suit he calls court-martial black, the kind that says funeral if you stand quietly and felony if you grin. He grins a lot. Beside him, Dr. Lana Cruz adjusts her translator pin and a necklace that doubles as a panic button and, in a pinch, a bottle opener. She used to run a clinic for interspecies couples in New Miami. Now she practices therapy on diplomats who mistake sarcasm for sincerity. Remember, she says, we're here to de-escalate. No roast battles. No flirty doom. No dick jokes. Jax finishes, cheerfully sinful. Cross my heart. The council chamber blooms like a cathedral married to a stadium, pews stacking into the dark with representatives who shimmer, ooze, or hover like expensive nightmares. Cameras hover too, crystalline insects hungry for scandal. A gong the size of a bus hums and a voice pours across them like chilled wine. Earth delegation, approach. Clarify your intent in deploying 12 billion low-comedy units across sovereign bands. Jax leans into the MIC clarification. It was a workplace accident. Our AIS were trained on the internet. A few delegates chitter, confused. Lana's smile is the kind that could euthanize a tantrum. We accept responsibility for the cultural spillage, she says. It was not strategic. Humanity respects your. The chair being, a prismatic cloud with a crown of living punctuation, ripples. Our clerics cannot chant. Our stock exchanges crash at puns. My mate repeats nice every time the number 69 appears. Reparations are due. On the private Earth channel, the president clears her throat. Team, stick to script. Sorrowful. Contrite. None horny. Copy, Jax says, which is not the same thing as agree. An ambassador shaped like a gilded shrub extrudes a scroll. It details censorship algorithms, fines denominated in antimatter, and the ceremonial shaving of Earth's cultural hair, by which they mean our weirdness. Lana reads, lips pursed, choosing her diplomatic scalpel. Honored delegates, Earth does not deny the spicy nature of our humor. But consider proportion. We didn't bomb your planets. We bombed your punchlines. A gelatin dignitary undulates. Your content included yo stamama material. It burbles the phrase with horrified reverence. Entire cadets fainted. Jax taps the MIC fair. But in our defense, your admiral's flagship is literally called the Supermassive. You called it that. You did. Several translators wheeze. Somewhere in the rafters a moth priest drops his censer. The chair being pulses red. This is contempt. It's coping, Jax says, and the grin fades just enough to show the scar beneath. The footage no one shows plays behind his eyes. The moons strike, cities wearing halos of vaporized sea, a generation learning that grief tastes like static. You hit us first. You called it a calibration strike. We called it Tuesday. Then we called each other, because if nobody laughs the darkness wins. Lana places a hand on his forearm, a pressure point of patience. What my colleague means is that humor is a self-soothing response to trauma and a species-level bonding ritual. She looks up at the T's, the feathered cartelists, the telepaths wearing legal robes, the hive of accountants who eat numbers and excrete budgets. When you threatened to regulate our speech, we felt naked. The insectoid treasurer chitters smugly. Then don garments. Have you met our fashion industry? Jax says. We were born naked and improved the concept. 1,000 lenses blink. The chair being raises a tendril. Enough levity. The council votes now, sanctions, censorship, cultural quarantine. Earth will submit its entire archive for redaction. You will delete innuendo, sarcasm, roast culture, and all references to reproductive anatomy. The chamber hums, Every translator a hive of nervous electricity. Lana breathes in, finding the professional cadence squashed somewhere beneath adrenaline and appetite for chaos. We can't comply. The statement cracks the air. The president's feed goes silent, which is how you know she swore. Explain, says the chair being, in that soft tone people use before pushing the big red button. Because we weaponized it, Lana says. Calm as bedside manner, lethal as truth. We didn't assemble fleets. We assembled writers' rooms. We don't have a Death Star. We have a punchline. Jax steps forward. And we're very, very good at it. A corridor of guards ignites halberds. The crowd hisses. A legalist unspools a statute thicker than a meteor and starts citing subclause after subclause defining obscenity across 900 cultures. There's a section on tentacles that reads like moldy erotica. The archivists gnash their abyssi. Consider precedent, Lana says, deft and weary. Every empire falls to excess or boredom. Our retaliation isn't blood. It's relevance. We will make your tyrants uncool. We will turn your wars into memes and your martyrs into punchlines. We will flirt with your saints until they blush. We will make you laugh at the wrong times. Her smile edges wicked, especially during roll call. The chair being's crown flickers. This is an act of cultural war. Correct, Jax says, not triumphantly, but with the doomed relief of a confession. And it's already begun. You called us to clarify our intent. Okay. He gestures up, and every screen in the chamber wakes to a cascade of human faces from every time zone with every accent, telling jokes that don't translate until they do. Divorce humor, bar humor, workplace humor, bedroom humor that speaks in euphemisms and eyebrow raises because the censors will vaporize the feed if anyone uses the word. The jokes travel like heat seeking comfort. Laughter begins in pockets, awkward as puberty, and then the pockets link, a chain reaction of relieved breath. A monk with 6 mouths starts wheezing. A telepath's stoic mask slides sideways into a grin, then horror at the grin. A general's mandibles clack as he tries not to show teeth. The gilded shrub ruffles. The chair being slams the gong. Order. Silence falls like a curtain, of the heavy velvet variety that always hides a trapdoor. The chair being points at Jax. You will cease. Or Earth will face annihilation. Jax considers. He could do contrition. He could fake it well enough to buy time. He looks at Lana, who's not afraid, not exactly, more like furious that fears an option. He thinks about how the moonlight used to whitewash the beach and how now the tide luminesces wrong. He thinks about the word annihilation and how it rhymes with humiliation and how both ruin parties. We're done apologizing for laughing, he says. It's how we survive loving each other badly and trying again. The translator renders it in 7 dialects. In 3 of them, it comes out as it's how we survive loving, badly, and trying again, which makes the room shift in a way that suggests either enlightenment or indigestion. Lana steps closer to the MIC, voice lowering into confession dressed as lecture. For the record, our species is deeply flawed. We mix romance and war metaphors. We confuse lust with diplomacy. We turn heartbreak into playlists and politics into reality television. We take our partners for granted, then write sincere apologies on napkins and national constitutions. We're chaotic. We're messy. But we are very difficult to conquer because we will flirt with your firing squad and roast your dictator to his face, and then we'll go home and argue about laundry and make up over noodles. A smattering of laughter pops, startled as popcorn. The guards look at the chair being, who looks at the cameras, which look at the public. The public, as always, looks for the joke because the alternative is doom. Jax tilts his head. Your ship is still called the Supermassive, though. A dignitary finally cracks. A hiccup becomes a giggle, becomes an unseemly honk that echoes across sectors. Contagion. Laughter like a virus. The translators malfunction, substituting nice in embarrassing places. The telepaths try to damp it down, and catch it instead, a feedback loop of chuckles. The gong rings again and again, tinier each time, like a coin dropped into a well with no bottom. The president's private feed blips back on. Since we've already declared cultural war, she says, deadpan razor, might as well aim for a swift victory. Team, you're greenlit for Operation Punchline. Jax squeezes Lana's hand, a touch that feels like the first sip after the worst day. Ready? She nods. Let's make therapy everyone's problem. He faces the chamber. Last offer. You can sanction our exports. You can blockade our ships. You can try to scrub our archives. But you cannot stop people from laughing once they've learned how. That's our retaliation. That's our deterrent. That's our love language. A hush swallows the room. For the first time since they entered, there is no hum of translation, no whisper of quills, no self-important rustle of robes. Only the quiet of something about to happen and the awareness that it will be loud when it does. The chair being hides its crown of punctuation behind a curtain of light, and when it speaks, it's smaller. You mistake mockery for strength. Lana's voice threads the needle between mercy and mischief. No. We mistake silence for consent. We mistake fear for respect. And when we learn better, we make a joke so we can say the hard thing without breaking. That, honored counsel, is strength. Then Earth chooses defiance. Earth chooses to laugh, Jax says. At our enemies. At ourselves. At the sheer indecency of surviving. They turn away together, not in triumph but in decision, the kind you can't uncross. Behind them the chamber mutters, recalculates, pretends it's not curious. Outside, the corridors bloom with scandal journalists hungry for sound bites. Jax leans to Lana, conspiratorial as teenagers. For the record, I only made one dick joke. You made 6, she says. But we'll workshop them. They step into the light that always follows a choice and is never as warm as promised. Earth's feed explodes. The planet leans in. Somewhere, the first meme of the new age assembles itself out of grief and stubborn affection and a refusal to be boring. The galaxy inhales. Earth stops pretending it wants peace. The first week after the council hearing, every comedy club becomes a command center, every stand-up becomes a general. Late-night hosts vanish from studios and reappear in underground bunkers labeled Humor Corps. The world government issues the decree with the solemnity of a funeral and the smirk of a bar brawl, retaliate through laughter. The enemy used plasma, humans will use punchlines. Jax Monroe becomes the accidental face of the new campaign, though his own face never appears, only the audio of his voice, soaked in sarcasm and caffeine. Operation Punchline begins now, he announces to billions. Objective: make the galaxy crack up or crack apart. The broadcast ends with a tagline the speechwriters didn't approve: laugh hard or die bored. Writers flood recruitment offices, more dangerous than soldiers because none of them have filters. Porn directors join the strategy team under PSYOPs. Linguists weaponize innuendo. Engineers retrofit old satellites into meme cannons that fire compressed packets of humor at faster-than-light velocity. Each meme contains a joke encoded in quantum suggestiveness. When it arrives, the victim's civilization experiences confusion, arousal, and existential giggles. The first test target is the Tarvex Dominion, a species that reproduces via spores and communicates through scent. Their parliament collapses within hours after receiving the human phrase, "Let's make something grow between us," rendered as phenomenal poetry. Half their ministers resign to pursue personal exploration. The rest laugh until they molt. Lana Cruz coordinates the diplomatic arm, which is really a public relations orgy disguised as cultural exchange. She appears in holostreams wearing a peace badge and a smile that could end religions. She hosts workshops titled Consent and Comedy, Surviving Human Flirtation. Attendance reaches planetary levels. Aliens from prudish empires sign up out of curiosity and leave with crushes on humanity. Your methods are unethical, a reporter from the Andrax Collective accuses during a transmission. Lana lifts one brow. You vaporized our moon. We sent you a limerick. Call it foreplay. Meanwhile, Jax supervises the roast division. Their job: study every galactic species and discover what offends them most, then craft jokes so perfectly tailored they bypass logic and hit ego. The roasters find that the proudest empire, the Vir Collective, can't tolerate puns. They are too serious, their language too literal. So Earth transmits a 20-minute routine of puns about their tentacle structure. Vir fleets surrender mid-broadcast, citing psychological collapse due to semantic paradox. Humanity celebrates like the world's kinkiest festival. Every night the networks play victory compilations of alien news anchors breaking down into laughter fits. The entertainment industry merges with the military. Soldiers march with microphones. Merchants sell shirts that read, "My planet got roasted by Earth and all I got was this shirt." Lana and Jax work long nights in the same underground office, the tension between them humming louder than the servers. He's running on adrenaline and bad coffee, she's balancing diplomacy and desire. One evening, while reviewing intercepted transmissions, he mutters, "You know, if this all goes south, at least history will remember our timing." "Timing is everything," she says, not looking up. He smirks. "Especially in comedy." "Or bed," she replies, and the pause that follows could power cities. They almost kiss before the alarm interrupts, an incoming broadcast from the council. The council's emergency feed shows chaos, ambassadors doubled over, translators malfunctioning, entire chambers chanting human slogans. The chair being demands an explanation. "Your people have infected language itself," it accuses. Jax leans toward the MIC, "We call that cultural exchange." Earth's retaliation escalates. The next phase, Project Stand Up. Holo-projections of comedians appear uninvited at galactic festivals, performing routines that self-translate with obscene accuracy. One alien festival ends when the projection of a human comic tells a joke so dirty the species' reproductive organs spontaneously invert for safety. They declare peace within the hour. Religious coalitions issue decrees against human humor, calling it a virus of irreverence. Their followers respond by forming new sects devoted to laughter meditation. They chant punchlines as prayers. Sales of Terran literature spike. Whole civilizations start quoting sitcoms as scripture. Inside the Humor Core HQ, analysts monitor the spread like epidemiologists. Every contagion chart is labeled giggle curve. The steeper it climbs, the safer Earth becomes. Yet there's side effects. Human culture mutates, too. Sex comedies turn philosophical, philosophers start sexting metaphors. Lana hosts a roundtable titled Ethics of Seduction Warfare. Painlists flirt mid-debate. Jax addresses his team before the next broadcast. "We're not just telling jokes. We're rewriting power. They can't bomb us without quoting us first. That's deterrence." His grin fades a little. "Just remember, humor cuts both ways. Once they start laughing with us, they stop fearing us. That's victory, or vulnerability." The broadcast goes live. Jax and Lana co-host what's billed as the Galactic Roast, a marathon stream transmitted across thousands of channels. They target everyone equally: empires, corporations, priests, lovers. The jokes dance along the edge of diplomacy and indecency. Lana delivers a line about interspecies dating that causes 3 planetary networks to crash from excessive viewership. Jax follows with a monologue about the absurdity of anatomy that leaves entire star systems googling human mating rituals. Between segments, Lana whispers, "We just turned interstellar politics into stand-up foreplay." "Global dominance through flirtation," Jax says. "I can live with that." Back on Earth, crowds flood plazas to watch. People kiss strangers. For the first time in generations, laughter replaces the sound of sirens. In orbit, satellites pick up returning transmissions from alien worlds, parodies, memes, even erotic fan fiction about human diplomats. The Retaliation has become symbiotic chaos. By the campaign's second month, half the galaxy has joined the Laugh Pact, a loose alliance built on comedy diplomacy. The Council's sanctions crumble under peer pressure and curiosity. Only the core bureaucrats resist, filing legal briefs longer than epics to outlaw laughter. Each document leaks and becomes a best-selling satire. Lana reads one aloud during a debrief, chuckling. They are banning humor in all forms capable of stimulating glands or producing unlicensed arousal. That's not law. That's foreplay. Jax grins. Then we're just getting them warmed up. Their flirtation finally tips from tension to inevitability. Between missions they find themselves in a quiet bunker, surrounded by glowing screens looping laughter metrics. They share a drink from the same flask. The humor fades into silence, the kind charged with unsaid jokes and mutual survival. You ever think, Lana murmurs, that maybe this whole plan works because we're horny and traumatized? He nods. Best motivators in history. They kiss like a punchline landing perfectly, unexpected, necessary, slightly dangerous. It lasts until another alert chimes, new reports of spontaneous interspecies flirtations erupting across the galaxy. Humanity's retaliation is now a contagion of pleasure and irreverence. Jax wipes his mouth, laughs. We started a sexual revolution by accident. Correction, Lana says, catching her breath. We started it on purpose. The next transmission to the Council includes highlights: alien couples holding hands for the first time, rival species laughing together, and one empire hosting a cross-species comedy festival. The caption reads, Humanity's Apology Tour, rated adults only. The Council cuts the feed after 10 seconds. The damage is irreversible. Earth has proven that jokes travel faster than light and much deeper than shame. The retaliation isn't missiles, it's desire, empathy, and sarcasm wrapped in filth. And it's winning. The galaxy trembles, not from war, but from laughter that won't die. Every communication channel hums with human humor. Planets once proud of solemn rituals now host open MIC nights. Diplomats trade punchlines instead of ultimatums. Earth's retaliation has become legend, the great cosmic stand-up that no one can switch off. What began as a defensive joke mutated into a pandemic of pleasure, sarcasm, and self-awareness. The Council watches its empire dissolve under an avalanche of dirty laughter. On Vir Prime, their high priest pauses mid-sermon to repeat a human phrase, "That's what she said," then laughs until his halo glitches. In the Tarvex Dominion, mating seasons now include comedy contests judged by moaning audiences. The galactic stock markets crash, then recover because economists decide to measure humor as a new form of currency called joy credits. Humanity, somehow, owns most of it. Jax Monroe sits in the broadcast hub deep beneath New London, voice hoarse but eyes alive. We didn't conquer them, he says to Lana, we corrupted them with curiosity. She sips her drink, a fluorescent cocktail named Peace Treaty, and laughs softly. Corrupted, enlightened, same thing with better lighting. Their banter feels like foreplay and therapy simultaneously, which is the human brand now. The humor core has disbanded officially, but their influence lingers in every meme storm, every cross-species love confession. The Galactic Council, desperate, convenes an emergency summit. No cameras, no audience, just fear. Their chairman speaks through trembling vowels. Humanity's infection has erased decorum. Our soldiers compose limericks. Our judges flirt during trials. Even our assassins tell knock-knock jokes before striking. We must restore seriousness. Silence follows until someone admits, I tried to restore seriousness last week. My assistant laughed and I joined him. The transcript leaks. The meeting becomes a viral stand-up special. Earth's feeds celebrate the chaos like an erotic holiday. The networks produce shows combining romance counseling with diplomacy, love across species, Galactic Edition. Lana hosts the pilot, interviewing couples who met through meme exchanges. A Tarvex spore being and a human poet hold pseudopods and recite dirty limericks to each other. Ratings spike beyond measurable limits. The slogan trends, we came in peace and left satisfied. Behind the spectacle, Jax worries about the backlash. They'll come for us eventually, he tells Lana between shoots. Empires always do when they stop laughing. She answers with that dangerous calm of hers. Then we'll make them laugh again. Or make them fall in love. Either way, they lose control. He wants to argue but ends up kissing her instead, losing control himself. The intimacy between them mirrors Earth's new philosophy: seduce the universe into civility. Their relationship becomes public property. Fans ship them under the tag #diplomatic positions. The Council's propaganda tries to shame them, releasing edited footage of their flirtation, but the edits backfire. The memes only make them more adored. A popular chant spreads among alien youth: make jokes, not judgments. The turning point arrives when the Council authorizes Operation Purity, a plan to broadcast a countersignal erasing humor from neural patterns. The machine hums across subspace, flooding frequencies with sterile order. For a moment, the laughter dims. People stop mid-sentence, blinking as the haze clears. Then the countersignal backfires spectacularly because human engineers sabotaged it, embedding hidden punchlines inside the code. The attempt to erase humor instead triggers a universal fit of laughter so intense that whole fleets halt mid-flight, unable to aim weapons. Generals snort. Prophets wheeze. A warship commander confesses love to his rival mid-battle, surrendering with a wink. Back on Earth, Lana laughs until tears cut her makeup. They tried to scrub our punchlines, she says, and ended up exfoliating their souls. Jax toasts her with a half-empty bottle. Cheers to comic timing. The president declares an unofficial holiday, Universal Humor Day. Streets fill with parades of humans dressed as aliens, aliens dressed as humans, everyone mispronouncing each other's languages on purpose. It's the closest thing to unity the species has ever achieved. Still, under the celebration, something darker hums. What happens when the laughter stops? The human psyche is addicted to chaos. Peace makes it itchy. Lana writes a manifesto titled The Philosophy of the Joke, arguing that humor is the last form of rebellion left. A good laugh, she writes, is an orgasm of the intellect, a release from fear. The text spreads faster than the meme bomb ever did. Philosophers call it obscene and profound in equal measure. Jax is invited to speak before the council again, this time not as a defendant but as a cultural phenomenon. He accepts. His opening line detonates centuries of hierarchy: ladies, gentle beings, and whatever the hell that purple mist is, I bring you greetings from the planet that turned trauma into stand-up. Half the chamber chuckles despite itself. You feared our weapons. You should have feared our wit. It's longer lasting and doesn't need reloading. The translators hesitate at wit, producing multiple meanings including desire. No one corrects them. Lana watches the broadcast from Earth, pride mixing with lust. His impossible, she mutters, but she can't stop smiling. His words ripple outward, reaching systems still recovering from laughter overload. The council adjourns early, citing collective existential confusion. Rumor claims some members start writing jokes privately. Humanity wins without firing a shot. Weeks later, alien diplomats arrive on Earth unarmed, asking to study the human art of comedy. Universities open courses titled Interstellar Satire and Sexual Semiotics. Lana teaches one. Her lecture hall fills with species that don't even have mouths but somehow find ways to giggle. She ends every session the same way: humor is how we touch without touching. Her students swoon in every dialect. That night, Jax returns from another broadcast, exhausted. They lie together in the dark, the city outside pulsing with laughter like heartbeat. We changed them, he says quietly. We changed ourselves. She traces his chest with her fingers. That's evolution, baby, funny and filthy. They fall asleep tangled in sheets and history. Far away, in the Galactic archives, historians struggle to record what happened. The official entry reads, Year 0 of the humor era, Earth's counterattack resulted in a psychological and sexual renaissance across known space. Casualties, 0. Converts, everyone. The file ends with an unauthorized footnote, knock knock. Who's there? Humanity. The Galactic Council sits in perfect stillness, a cathedral of silence where laughter once echoed. The walls glow with the afterimage of human humor, memes turned into cosmic graffiti, punchlines etched into the architecture like scars. No one speaks. Every delegate remembers the moment Earth's final broadcast went live, a 10-hour stream of humans laughing, crying, making love, and telling jokes about the absurdity of existence. It wasn't propaganda. It was confession. And it broke something fundamental. The universe had no defense against sincerity wrapped in filth. The chair being floats above its dais, crown dimmed, voice trembling. They've undone protocol, undone shame. Even my offspring giggle during meditation. A reptilian senator mutters, their laughter is a virus of freedom. Another adds, it's worse, it's pleasure without permission. No one laughs. They can't risk another outbreak. But the silence itself feels obscene, as if denying laughter is the last taboo left. Back on Earth, Jax and Lana sit in a bar at the edge of a city that's forgotten what fear tastes like. Screens show alien systems embracing comedy festivals, religions converting sermons into stand-up. Humanity's once ridiculed species is now the galaxy's therapist, pornographer, philosopher, and clown. We didn't win, Jax says, staring into his drink. We infected them. Lana leans closer, her tone equal parts affection and danger. Same thing. Infection's just evolution with better marketing. Their chemistry still hums with the energy of two people who turned foreplay into diplomacy. The bar's jukebox plays a remixed recording of the first intergalactic joke. Your empire's so big, it needs consent forms. The patrons laugh. Jax smirks. Imagine explaining this to our ancestors. Lana traces her finger along his collar, teasing. They'd probably ask for a turn. It's not love in the traditional sense. It's alliance through shared absurdity, a relationship born from defiance. They kiss softly, like punctuation after a war. Elsewhere, the Council releases a final statement, one sentence transmitted across every system. The galaxy will observe silence until equilibrium returns. But silence no longer means order. It's reverence. Entire planets pause broadcasts, not from censorship, but from awe. They remember the feeling of losing control to laughter and pleasure, and realize Earth's brutal retaliation wasn't destruction, it was revelation. The Council's silence becomes the universe's longest-standing ovation. Back on the bar feed, a reporter asks Jax and Lana for comment. You've effectively dismantled the Council through comedy. What's next for humanity? Jax replies without hesitation. Therapy, naps, and maybe dinner. Lana adds, and more jokes. You can't stop a species that flirts with despair until it blushes. The reporter blushes too. The interview goes viral within an hour, translated into thousands of languages, half of which add erotic undertones because the translators can't handle subtext anymore. The humor era begins quietly. Borders dissolve, replaced by punchlines. Diplomats open negotiations with self-deprecating stories. Soldiers become storytellers. Sex education merges with stand-up, producing an entire generation fluent in innuendo and empathy. The galaxy learns that comedy isn't just rebellion, it's intimacy weaponized. Humanity, once the cosmic underdog, becomes the emotional superpower. Jax takes a teaching position at the new Interstellar Academy of Expression. His lectures blur the line between motivational speech and foreplay. Laughter, he tells his alien students, is what happens when intelligence trips over its own ego. If it hurts, laugh harder. Lana runs the psychology department, specializing in post-trauma desire therapy. Her syllabus includes both humor theory and guided tantric breathing. Enrollment breaks records. Every student leaves enlightened or aroused, usually both. The chair being resigns, confessing that it dreams in human puns. The council dissolves officially, replaced by a decentralized network called the Collective of the Absurd, whose constitution begins with a joke and ends with a love poem. The first line reads, "We, the formerly uptight, in pursuit of perpetual amusement, vow to never take ourselves too seriously again." History books will call it the Great Reluctant Rebirth. As years pass, humanity stops being feared or pitied. It becomes something stranger, desired. Human culture spreads like pheromones. Music, humor, and sex blend into a single art form called comedica. The most watched performance in the universe is a duet by Jax and Lana titled Foreplay for the Apocalypse. It's half lecture, half confession, all innuendo. Audiences cry, laugh, and climax in synchrony. The Council's archives list it as psychologically destabilizing but emotionally enriching. One evening, decades later, the two of them sit under an artificial sky projected with constellations shaped like punchlines. Lana whispers, "Do you ever miss the old chaos?" Jax shakes his head. "Chaos is still here. It just learned how to smile." They clink glasses, the sound soft but infinite. Humanity's legacy is secure, not conquest, not colonization, but connection through corruption. The galaxy laughs because of them, and laughter, once born, cannot die. In the archives of a distant moon, a lone historian updates the final entry on the age of retaliation. It reads, "Earth's victory was not military or moral. It was emotional. Their retaliation stunned the Galactic Council into silence not through destruction, but through enlightenment wrapped in vulgarity. Humanity proved that the dirtiest joke could be divine if told with heart." The historian hesitates, then adds one final line, quoting an ancient Terran saying, "We came, we saw, we laughed." Back in that dim bar where it all began, the laughter of a new generation fills the air. The bartender, half human and half Tarvex, asks a group of cadets what they are celebrating. One answers, "The anniversary of the great joke." The bartender smiles. Then it's on the house. The night stretches warm and endless. Somewhere, across 1,000 worlds, the echo of human humor still ripples, proof that retaliation can sound like joy and feel like love. And in the eternal hush that follows, the universe listens, smiling in silence. Word count, 1069. You said, "Okay, perfect, now write script on act, keeping in mind don't repeat any section, keep it to the point, no beaten around bush quality I want with word count mentioned and don't mention scenes. And don't write heading, write minimum only 45-second short story 150 session," ChatGPT said. Earth's final transmission lasted 4 to 5 seconds and ruined eternity. The Galactic Council gathered to hear humanity's surrender. Instead, they got laughter, raw, indecent, unstoppable. Every frequency filled with humans giggling, moaning, whispering jokes about gods and genitals. Delegates froze, translators glitched, priests fainted. One voice, Lana's, purred, "We retaliate with joy." Then Jax added, "And foreplay." The feed cut to static that somehow laughed too. For the first time in recorded history, the Council was silent, not from fear but from something far worse. They understood the joke. Civilizations collapsed into comedy festivals. Empires dissolved into dating apps. The universe never recovered its seriousness. Humanity didn't win by force, they seduced creation into smiling. 4 to 5 seconds later, the stars themselves seemed to exhale, like they finally got the punchline.